Do smart homes work? Hey friends, one of the questions we get asked all the time is, do smart homes really work? Yes, absolutely, they work. They're reliable and they can be a lot of fun. Most people have a family member, a friend, a cousin, a sister, somebody who has a smart home system that doesn't work. One of the things that we'll hear a lot is, hey, I spent a lot of money on the system and the dumb thing doesn't work. So do smart homes really work? Yes, absolutely, they work. They're reliable and they can be a lot of fun. But the system has to be designed and executed correctly, and that's a huge part of this. When we're designing a system for a client, there's 4 elements that we're looking at to make sure that that smart home system is rock solid and reliable. The first element is integration. Now, what is integration? Imagine you have 2 people that speak a different language and you have a translator translating the communication. Even the best translator is going to struggle to translate the communication perfectly. And that's what happens with our smart home systems. Imagine you have a Sony TV, its code speaks one language and the Control4 universal remote speaks another language. And we're trying to get those 2 pieces of hardware to talk to each other. I'll give you an example. TVs accept 2 different types of commands, a toggle and a discrete input. Now, a toggle is just like it sounds. We're toggling the state of the TV. If it's currently off, we're going to toggle it on. If it's currently on, we're going to toggle it off. That sounds fine, but imagine a simple scene where you want to hit the Netflix icon on your universal remote and have the TV power on, the surround sound come on, and the lights dim. Now imagine that little fingers inadvertently left that TV on and you hit that Netflix icon on your universal remote. Well, the smart home system doesn't know that the TV is turned on. It's going to toggle the TV off and turn the surround sound on. So now you're hearing surround sound, but you have a blank screen. You think, well, I'll just hit the Netflix icon again. When you hit the Netflix icon again, it shuts the surround sound off and toggles the TV on. Now you have the TV on, but the surround sound's turned off. If you've ever experienced this, it's maddening. Now, a discrete input means that we can tell the TV exactly what to do. So in this scenario with Netflix, we could write some code that says if the TV is already powered on, leave the TV on and simply turn on the surround sound. And that's a much better user experience. That's a simple example of where integration can go wrong really, really fast. And you can imagine with a large-scale system, there are a lot of devices in the home that need to be integrated properly. And that leads us to the next element, which is system design. Obviously, system design is critical. It's the most important part of the whole deal. I'll give you 2 examples where poor system design causes a lot of headaches. I'm sure by now you're familiar with 4K TVs and 4K content. It is awesome, but it can cause a lot of headaches if it's not designed right. Now, there's more complexity than I have time to cover right here, but as a general rule, if I have a 4K Blu-ray player, I can only send that to TVs and projectors that accept 4K content. I can't send that 4K Blu-ray player to a TV that only accepts 1080p content. If I do, then I have to tell that Blu-ray player to only send content out in 1080p. Now, I can't send 4K content from the Blu-ray player out to the 4K projector. A lot of people don't realize this. They've got 4K video distribution, and they go out and they buy a bunch of TVs on Black Friday specials that aren't 4K. And now they're trying to send their video sources to the different TVs in the home, and it's not working. They're getting blank screens. They don't understand why the 4K Blu-ray player is working on one TV but not on the other TV. Well, the reason is because it can't play 4K content out to one TV and 1080p out to another TV. It's all or nothing. Surround sound's another important issue for us to cover in design. Oftentimes, after the system's completed, clients come to us and say, hey, I want to play my Blu-ray from my home theater to other TVs in the home. Well, the problem is you're sending out a surround sound signal from that Blu-ray player, and chances are the TV doesn't accept a surround signal. It only accepts a stereo signal. So there's no way for that Blu-ray player to play sound out to the TV. It's just going to put its hands up in the air and say, nope, can't do it. You've either got to send the Blu-ray player through a surround sound receiver, or you've got to buy a special TV like Sony TVs that actually support what's called down mixing, which is receiving that surround sound signal and down mixing it into a stereo signal. Otherwise, you've got to buy pretty expensive hardware that's capable of routing that audio signal, whether it's surround or stereo, and mixing it correctly. It's a huge headache. It's so much easier to just plan in advance where I may want a surround signal and then design the system accordingly. System management is taking preventative measures to minimize service issues and you understanding some of the basic quirks of your own system so that you can do some of the service on your own. We use the Apple TV all the time in our systems, but the Apple TV has a tendency to lock up. So one of the things we'll do is design the system to auto reboot the Apple TV in the middle of the night when you're unlikely to be using it. This auto rebooting the Apple TV on a nightly basis helps prevent the Apple TV from locking up when you need it. But there's still a chance that while you're using it, the Apple TV is going to lock up. So we want to show you how you go to the media rack and simply reboot your own Apple TV, or set you up with an app that allows you to open the app, press the Apple TV icon, and instantly reboot your Apple TV and have it up and running. These are simple system management techniques that we can spend a few minutes with you after the system's installed and have you feeling confident about how to manage and diagnose your own system so it's always up and running when you need it. And we got to talk about the system network. We made a huge mistake when we first started. We thought we could save the client money by going cheap on the network, and it was a huge mistake. Awful mistake. Never, never, never do it again. We had 4 large-scale Savant systems, and over the course of 6 months, we had to go back and replace every one of those network systems with a high-end network system that could support what was happening. We'll cover the nitty-gritty of a good network system in another video, but just know if you want a smart home system and if you want it to be reliable and consistent, you have to invest in a nice network. This is not an option. This is part of the deal. You have to have a nice network. Now, those are the 4 elements of a rock-solid system. We've got to have good integration, we've got to have great design, we want to teach you good system management skills, and we've installed and deployed a rock-solid network for you. So yes, smart homes work. They're reliable, they're tons of fun. Don't miss out because you've heard from somebody that smart homes don't work. Just find somebody that's going to design the system for you right. A well-designed smart home system is well worth it. If you've enjoyed this, if you feel like it's been helpful, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos.